Okay, today's daf is daf Ayin Chet. We're going to start at near the top, about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, about 8 lines from the top. We're continuing with all the definitions of what's the requisite amount required in order to be obligated if one takes an item from one domain to another domain. And we're now on the topic of liquids. So enough liquids in order to put on or spread on an eye bandage. Okay, that's the kilor. Amar Abai, michti komelta deshchicha velo shchicha, azar Rabbanit batar deshchicha lekula. Since, okay, he's going to say since the following is true, and then he's going to jump to what the next stage is. Since it's true that if you have something that's a common use for an item, and then you have a less common use for that item, we're going to follow the common use even if it's lekula. So let's say, normally you only drink it, but a few people use it for medicinal purposes and a smaller amount for medicinal purposes. We're going to follow the larger amount, which is a leniency, because then you're not going to be obligated unless you actually use that larger amount. So since that's the case, he says, therefore, shricha u'shricha, if you have one use that's common and another different use that's common, and they have different requisite amounts of how much you would actually use, we're going to assume that we follow whichever one is more stringent. Okay, that makes sense. So yain, here's going to go through. Shishtiato shricha, refuato lo shricha, azar rabbanan batar shtiato. Wine, since it's general to drink it, but it's not so common to use it for medicinal purposes. Therefore, we follow the drinking amount, a revi. Dishricha, lekula, right? So we follow it, lekula, we're going to now be more lenient because even though you might uncommonly use it for medicinal purposes and a smaller amount, we're going to go by the larger amount. Chalav, milk, achilato shricha, refuato lo shricha. Again, drinking it is common, using it for medicinal purposes is not common. Therefore, azar Rabbanit batar achilato lekula. So we're going to be more lenient and go by the general use, which is for drinking. Dvash achilato shricha, refuato shricha. Here you have honey, which people drink, sort of eat, but they call it drinking because it's a liquid, or somewhat of a liquid, and using it for medicinal purposes is also common. Therefore, azar Rabbanit batar refuato, and that explains in the Mishnah. Remember, our Mishnah said this is really explaining all the halachot we saw. Yain, it's to make a cup of wine. Milk, it's just for a swallow. But honey, it's kedei litein ala katit, on the wound. Elamayim, but what about water? Now water, what did we say? It's enough to put in a salve in this eye, right on the eye bandage. So elamayim, nichtei shriato shricha, refuato lo shricha, my tam azar Rabbanit batar refuato lechumra. But it doesn't make any sense why they would be stringent, like medicinal, for the medicinal purposes for the katit, when generally people don't really use it for it. So for the, not the katit, my mistake, for the eye bandage. So Amar Abaye, bigalil shanu. So Abaye says, they're talking about in the Galil, okay? In the Galil, apparently, it was different. Why? Rashi says they were very poor. And because they were poor, they basically didn't want to use their wine or their milk to put in the kilor. Generally, the eye bandage had they didn't want to use anything else. They would only use water, and therefore it became much more common to use water because it was the only thing that they would put in their eye bandages. Rav Amar, different answer. Even if you say in other places where they didn't use it, we'll say like Shmuel, Damar Shmuel, Kol Shkiane Masu, Umitalale, Bar Mimaya de Masu Velo Mitalale. Okay, he says, all kinds of mixtures, okay, all kinds of liquids, that you can use in this eye bandage. Masu, they work. Umitalalu, misachachin, Rashi says, misachachin al ayin munim, marito ad sheyachle marito legamre, mipnei sheim avim v'nigladin kamin dek. Okay, so they're like a kind of sticky mixture. And they, they cloud your vision, okay? And because they cloud your vision, so therefore people don't like to use them so much. But water doesn't cloud your vision, and therefore, again, we see Shmuel. Shmuel is acting in the place of the doctor, right? He usually has a lot of medical knowledge and knowledge of general things about nature. And he tells you because of that, people prefer to use water. And therefore, it is commonly used for this eye bandage. Ushar kol mashkin b'revi'it. Now we go back to the Mishnah, and everything else is a revi'it, a quarter of a log. Tanu Rabbanan. Dam v'chomine mashkin b'revi'it. Okay, here it says blood and all other kinds of liquids are measured by a revi'it. Rabbi Shimon ben Elazar Omer, again, we're talking about for carrying purposes. Rabbi Shimon ben Elazar says, Dam kedei l'kol b'ayin chat sheken kochlim lebarkit. No, dam is actually a smaller shear because people use blood in order to color one eye. They would do this, not really to color, but l'kol is kind of to put on an eyeshadow. But here they mean they do it for warts that one might have on one's eye. What do we use this for? What kind of blood? Dama de tarnagolet ba, a wild hen. That's what you would use. The blood from a wild hen, that's what they would use for this barkit. Ashba gomer dam kedei l'kol bo ayin achat, kid sheken kochlin liarvad. Okay, this is for cataracts. Okay, we use this for cataracts, and therefore, for one eye, right, both of these are the amount of blood we would use for one eye. Umayni, what kind of blood do you use? Dama de karushtina. Okay, some people say it's a mole, and some people say it's a bat. B'simaneh, and how do you remember this? Gava legava, bara lebara. Okay, the gava is bifnim, the inner thing for the inner thing. So if you say a mole, it makes a lot more sense because a mole lives inside a hole, and that goes for something that's inside your eye. And bara, the one that's wild, that lives in the wild, goes for the outside of the eye, right? Bara always means outside. So it goes for the outside of your eye, which is something more external, the wart, as opposed to the cataract. Okay, now we quote the Tosefta. Bamed dvarim amurim. In what case are we referring to? All these unique shirim that we have with liquids that aren't necessarily with eat. What's this for? Bimotzi. This is if you carry it out. Aval bimatznia, meaning, okay, obviously if you carry it out. So all if you carry it out. What they mean here is if you carry it out only, meaning you didn't store it beforehand. Aval b'matzniya koshu chayav. But if you put it away and store it, any amount is going to be, you're going to be obligated. And this means that all the shirim we spoke about in the Mishnah, they're now saying, according to this Braita, again, there's a debate, but this is the first opinion, is only if you didn't store them. But once you store them, we don't care what amount, it could be even less than this amount. Rabbi Shimon Omer, b'mei dvarim amurim b'matzniya. He says, no, you're wrong. The amount that we use that's a small amount is specifically if you're storing it. But if you just take it out without storing it, then these small amounts are insignificant. Meaning, if you're storing it, it has to have a requisite amount. It'll be less than the regular, but it still needs a requisite amount. Whereas if you don't store it at all, then it's going to be a revi'it. Umodim chachamim Rabbi Shimon v'motzi shopchim l'reshut harabim sheshiuram b'revi. But the rabbis agree with Rabbi Shimon that when it comes to sour or spoiled water, then it's going to be a revi no matter what, even if you store it. Amar. So now we're going to go back into this statement we quoted from the Tosefta. B'med dvarim amurim b'motzi, aval b'matzniya kol shehu. So now they say atu matzniya lav motziu. So again, they're going to say, what do you mean b'matzniya kol shehu? I already kind of explained this because it was hard to explain without this explanation. But are you obligated for storing and not for carrying out? No. Amar bai hacha b'mayas, right? Atu matzniya lav motziu, right? If you're, one second, maybe I'm misunderstanding the question. Hello, Rashi says, hello, emet chayed ela al yedei hotza. Right? No, that's his question. Right? You're only going to be obligated if you actually take it out, not just for storing. So what do we say? Ela amar Abaye hacha b'mayaskinan b'talmid she'amar lo lerabo lech u'pnei li hamakom l'seuda. Let's say, now here they don't mean a rav like a rav the way we call a rav. It means a student, an apprentice who was learning a trade with someone, and the teacher told him, his mentor told him, go take out all the stuff. By the way, you can see from here why one maybe would take things outside on Shabbat. Theoretically, you have no room in your house. We talked the other day about the houses were small and there was no space, and maybe you needed space for the meal. Halachu panalo davar chashuv. Okay, if he removed something that was important, lakol, for everybody, chayav ilaveh. Davar she'ino chashuv lakol, but then if it's something that's not significant for most people, then it's obviously going to depend on whether it's something that was originally stored or wasn't stored, and that explains what the Braita, the Tosefta was talking about. Now we're going to get into this bad water. We're going to finally understand because this was also mentioned in the Mishnah. What are we using this water for? What are you using this water for? To make clay, right? You knead the clay with water. You can use even sour or spoiled water. Okay, so now, again, what's the measurement? The measurement is a reviv. So now they say, but wait, how much clay do you need to carry out to be obligated? Now, we're not talking about the water that you put in the clay. We're talking about how much clay. Now, you're obligated if you take out the amount of clay that could be used to cover the ceramic or metal container that they would melt the metals inside that container. Okay, it's a crucible. So, teat, how much teat are you obligated if you take it out? How much clay? Enough that you could use to cover this utensil. So now the assumption is that this is less than the amount of clay that you need is not a lot, and the amount of water, they're assuming there's a connection between the amount of clay that you're obligated and the amount of water in order to mix clay. So if the amount of clay would be the amount of water to go into that, that would be less than a reviv. That you need less water than a reviv to add to the amount of clay that's going to cover your kool. So the Gemara answers, lo kasha, had to migabel, had to lo migabel. If you say adam toleach legabel teeth, lasot pi kool. Wait a minute. They're talking about two different things. Clay is prepared clay. How much do you have to take it out? It doesn't need kneading or anything else. But you're not going to start kneading a whole clod of clay. You're not going to start kneading a teeny bit of an amount. You're only going to start kneading your clay if you're going to need a lot of clay, and then you'll use some of it for this. So therefore, the amount of water you need in order to be significant that you're going to actually need the clay is a larger amount, because you're not going to just need a little bit of clay to cover up your crucible. You'd be much, right? What would you do? You'll find clay that you already needed. So therefore, these are two just not connected issues entirely. Okay, new Mishnah. How much rope? If you take out enough rope that you could make a handle for a box. Gemi, reeds, how much? To make a loop, to hang your lenafa for your different sifters or sieves. You would hang them on a hook, right? I think of those IKEA things that people have, and they hang on the wall, and you put the little clip on it. Right, all your pots have little hooks on it, or little circles, rings on them. So that's what we're talking about, making this kind of ring. Rabbi Yehuda Omer, kedeli tomi menu midat min al lekatan. Okay, it's unclear whether he's referring to the rope or to the reed, or maybe even to both. How would they measure the shoe size of kids? You learn how they did this. They would take a rope or some sort of shape, and then they would say, oh, this is the size. Okay, they would bring in and make the shoe based on that. Nial, piece of paper. Kedei lichtov alav kesher muchsin. Okay, this was two options. Either it was a receipt that you got. Okay, Rashi says, yesh ha'adam shenoten hameches lerosh hanahar b'makom echad. Okay, one option is when you get to the river, you have to cross the river, you have to pay a toll. Okay, this is one possibility, and then you show I paid, it's like a token. Or there were some people who were exempt from these taxes, and therefore you could show, oh look, here's my little note that says that I'm exempt. So that's the piece of paper. Okay, it was a little thing that they would write, like a note that this is okay. If you carry out this kesher muchsin, you're obligated on Shabbat. Niar machuk plaiton. Okay, we saw this plaiton before. It was a little flask that you fill with balsam oil. Now, if you have a little piece of paper that's machuk, it's erased. Now, the assumption is if it's erased, you can't use it anymore to write on. So what's the significance of it? Well, you could cover the lid. You could use it as a lid for one of these little jars of balsam oil. Or kedei lasok kamia. Okay, they would make kamea. They would make the amulets with they would make a little satchel made out of leather. So that's the amount that you would take out. And I'm going to skip the part in parentheses. Kalat kedei lichtov alav parshak tana shebetfilin. Okay, a piece of parchment significant enough. The smallest piece of parchment you would use is for your tefillin. Shei Shema Yisrael, right, that you could fit Shema Yisrael in. Gio kedei lichtov shtei otiot, okay, the amount of ink that you could write 2 letters with, because that's right, That's a minimum measurement of writing. Kol, kedei l'kol ayin achat. Okay, some powder they would put on their eyes in order to put on one eye. Sometimes this was also medicinal. Devek, kedei litem b'rosh hashapshach. Enough honey, the amount that you would take out would be to put on the head of a board. Okay, this would be a board that they would try to catch birds on. They would stick a little sticky stuff. This is like fly paper. So that's how much devek, how much, so I said, right, glue. That's the amount of glue you'd be obligated. Zefef v'gaprit, okay, tar and sulfur. Kedei lasot nekev, in order to make a hole. Okay, what does this mean exactly, a hole? Rashi says, kli shenotnim bo kesef chai, when you put in silver, sotein pi bezefet o begaprit, v'nokev b'toch hastima nekev dak lo tzibo. Right, this is for, I have to remember exactly what this is. It's to, they would seal a hole in a vessel and then they make a small hole in the seal. So it would be the amount of tar or sulfur that you would need to seal the hole with making this little hole. Okay, next. Sha'ava, wax. Kedei litain al pi nekev katan, in order to put on a very small hole, because that's what they used wax for. Charsit, a shard. Kedei lasot pi kor shel tzarfei zahav. Okay, again, the utensil that they use, the core, is where they would heat the goldsmiths would heat the gold in. So again, a cover they would use for that. That's what they would use shards for, to cover this. Rabbi Yehuda Omer kedei la'asot pitput. Okay, this is a type of tripod. Okay, he disagrees. He thinks that what they would use these shards for was to create a tripod, something to kind of lift it up on. Subin. Okay, these are the bran from the wheat. Kedei litain al pi kor shel tzarfei zahav. Again, you could use it for to cover up the items that they use to melt the gold. Seed kedei lasud ktana shebebanot. This was depilatory cream. They would use this lime to basically take off the hairs of the young girls. Rabbi Yehuda, they say ktana shebebanot, meaning even a small amount. Rabbi Yehuda omer kedei lasot kalkal. Okay, this is something they would put on the hair to flatten it. Rabbi Nechemia Omer kedei lasud ondafe. Okay, we're going to see in the Gemara what this exactly is. So there's a three-way machloket about how much lime one would be obligated for. Okay, this isn't a lime. This is right like plaster. Okay, the Gemara is going to start off with the chevel. Chevel nami l'chayev kedei lasot tzlayin l'nafa u'lekvara. So if you look in the Mishnah again, it started with the chevel, the rope, because to make the handle on the kuppah, and the gemi to make the loop, right, the little circle that they would hang the sifter and the sieve on. So why wouldn't you use rope for that? So they answer, because it's bad it's very hard, the rope, right? We know rope could be very rough and coarse, and it could scratch the utensil, so they wouldn't want to use it. So it just wasn't used. It's not like you couldn't, but that's not what it's used for. And again, we're trying to talk about typical uses. Tanu Rabbanan, hutzin, kedei lasat ozen lasal. So now also we have, these are the peels, like you peel off from the palm tree. You could use things from there to make, again, a handle for a basket. For a basket that was called a kfifa mitzrit. Okay, it was a type of basket. Okay, right, this was a basket made from palm branches. Sieve. Am I reading this right? 1 second. Sieve. Right. Sieve is a very thin leaf that goes around the dekel, the palm tree. Okay, they said this would go on a little jug that they would have in order to make like a separate. You would use the palm fibers, and you would use them as a kind of sifter to take out all the bad stuff from the wine. Ravav, this is fat, okay, or oil. Kedei lasuch tachat aspigin ktana. Okay, this is the amount of oil you would use, or fat that you would put, like when you make a cake. What do? You grease the pan. So here they would grease the sides of the oven because they would put the cake on the side of the oven and they didn't want it to stick. So aspigin ktana is a little cake. The kama shiura, how big is this aspigin? Because how much, right? You need to know how much you're going to grease. It's the amount of grease that you would put underneath this little cake. How big is the cake to know how much oil you'd be obligated in? Kisela, the size of a coin called a sela. That's not very big. V'hatanya kigrogeret, doesn't it say in another place a fig? So idi v'idi chad shiur. They say, that's exactly the same shiur. Muchin. Okay, this is the thread, the material, like a woolly material they would use. Kedei lasot kador k'tana, in order to make a small ball. The kama shiurov, how big is this small ball, right? Small ball doesn't really help us. Ke'egos, the size of a walnut. Niyar, kedei lichtov alav kesher muchsin. So now the paper has to be big enough that you could write the kesher muchsin. Tana, so now a bright about this. Kama kesher muchsin. What is this kesher muchsin? How big? Shtei otiot. Okay, 2 letters. They would write 2 letters, and we're going to see they were 2 large letters. Okay, they would kind of give them this little note on it that had 2 big letters. That was your either I paid or I don't have to pay at all. Uriminu, but wait, there's a contradiction. It says in another source, Hamotzini ar chalak, im yesh bo kedei lichtov shtei otiot chayav, v'im lav patur. If you walk out the house carrying a smooth piece of paper, meaning it wasn't erased, it doesn't have anything written, but wasn't erased. If there's a size that you could write 2 letters, you're obligated. Now, what do you see here? That's 2 letters, right? V'im lav patur, and if not, it's patur. Now that shiur is not the same because we just said 2 large letters, and here it says, right? Our Mishnah said niyar to be able to write the kesher muchsin, which is 2 large letters, and this is 2 small letters. So Amr sheshet my shtei otiyot. When it says 2 letters, it means 2 large letters. Rava Amar, different answer. Shtei otiot didan, no regular letters. Ubeit achiza, and a little place to hold it. The idea is people didn't want to hold it where the letters were, so you would need the 2 letters plus a little space for holding, so a little bit bigger. I'm thinking about when you hole punch, you always have to make sure, right? Sometimes I make, like for Purim, I make a little note and I hole punch it and I tie the string onto the mishloach manot. So you always have to make sure that you leave space with the writing, right? You don't make it too small so you don't punch out the letter, right? It's the same kind of idea. So you want to have it so that there's a little bit of space to carry it without touching the words. So now they say, and then dahainu kesher muchsin, that 2 small letters or regular size letters with a little bit of space, that would be the size of the kesher muchsin. Meitive. But now we have a contradiction, another source that now seems to contradict Rava. Hamotzini ar machut ushtar parua. If you take out an iyar machut, this is an iyar that has nothing on it and you can't write on it anymore. Or a shtar parua, this is I paid money already that I owed you, and now it's paid. So now this shtar is basically useless. Im yesh baloben shelo kedei lichtov shtei otiot, o bekulo kedei lichoch al pi sluchit k'tana shel playton chayav. So, what's the size? Now these aren't useful to write on anymore because the document's already used, and the niyar machuk is you can't write on it. But if on the white space, which wasn't used yet, there's enough space to write 2 letters, or if you took the whole thing and it was big enough to including the part that was written on, and you could actually cover this balsam oil in a jar, then you're going to be chayav. Meaning these are 2 different possible approaches. Either you're going to use it for writing again, and then you need 2 otiot, or you're going to use it for covering up, and then the 2 otiot is irrelevant, but that's not the part that's important to us right now. Then you're chayav im lav patur. So bishlam al Rav Sheshet Amar my shtei otiot shel kesher muchsin shapir. If you say shtei otiot is 2 otiot gedolot, then you'll say here also they mean if the white space has enough to write 2 large letters, then it works. Ela l'Rava Tamar shtei otiot didan ubeit achiza tahainu kesher muchsin hacha beit achiza lo tzarich kasha. They say, in fact, Rava is going to be difficult here because in this case, you don't need a full 2. If 2 otiot, according to Rava, means every time it says 2 otiot, it means 2 otiot, 2 letters, and some space that you can carry. Here, 2 otiot can't mean that because you can carry it on the part that's already been written on or that's been erased and you can't use anymore. So you really only need the space that you need, which is the 2 otiot, which would be 2 otiot, either gdolot or, right, it doesn't make sense then with Rava's shir. Because Rava said 2 otiot always means 2 otiot in a space and you don't need a space here. So Rava is in fact difficult. Tanu Rabbanan, another bright. Hamotzi kesher muchsin. Ad shelo horau lamuchas chayav. If you haven't yet shown it to him, then you're obligated because you need it. But mishehir au lamoches. Now here comes something very interesting. Once you've shown it to him, patur. You're patur because it's useless. This becomes interesting. You're carrying something useless now. It's a problem. It's muktzah, but you're carrying something useless. You're not obligated for carrying because again, it doesn't serve any purpose. Rabbi Yehuda disagrees and says no. Even once you show it to him, you're still obligated because you might still need it. So my ben hayu. Now my ben hayu usually means what's the difference in the halacha? They don't really mean here what's the difference in the halacha. What they mean is really what's the difference between these two opinions? Why are they different? Why do they say different things? So Amar Abai ika ben hayu lichite muchsa. There could be these people that normally we talked about that you get to the river and you give it to the moches. So if you already showed him, you don't need it. But sometimes there are these ratzim, okay? These people that run after the people to make sure that maybe they didn't somehow get past the tax collector. So if that's the case, even after you've paid, you still might come in encounter with one of these people. And that's Rabbi Yehuda. Rava Amar, muchas gadol muchas katan ika benai. There could be a big, an important tax collector and a smaller tax collector. So again, Rashi said, maybe the muchas gadol toreach lo la'amod al gesher kol hayom u'mimaneh muchas katan. Right, so it's annoying for the moches gadol to always stand there. So sometimes there's a smaller guy, a less important guy, who stands there, and ve'eno mar'eh chotem shel melech ela legadol. Well, the Rabbi Yehuda tzarich lo, because the katan might prevent him, and therefore, again, you might have shown it to the gadol, but there's sometimes these little guys who get in your way. Rav Ashi amar chad muchas ika benayu mipnei shetzarich laharot lemuchas sheni. Okay, he says sometimes you might have another person you're going to come in contact with, and you want to show him, this goes back to what we said before, that he's actually exempted you, okay? In other words, maybe one guy gives you the exemption, and then you might come in encounter with another person who might want you to show to the second guy to say, look, look, I'm one of the guys that they gave me the exemption. So you kind of have to have your exemption certificate on you at all times. Okay, so these are all kind of scenarios where you might end up encountering more than one person and you might need it again. That's what Rabbi Yehuda is concerned for. Tanakama, for whatever reason, isn't concerned with these cases. Tanu Rabbanan, hamotzi shtarkov. If you take out an IOU, okay, somebody owes you money, somebody claims, let's say I take out a shtar that says you owe me money. Ad shelo pa'o, if you haven't paid me back, chayav, then my shtarkov is obviously important. Misha pa'o, once you pay me back, patur, then I'm exempt if I go out with this because again, it has no significance. Again, if it's big enough to be used as this piece of paper for something else, then yes. But if it's less, then no. Rabbi Yehuda Omer, af misha pa'o chayav, even after Rabbi Yehuda says, same thing as he said before, even after, you're still chayav because you might need it for something. So my benayu, again, where does he come from? We'll start with the first answer today, and then we'll get to the second one tomorrow. Am Rav Yosef, asur l'shot shtar parua ika benayu. Says there's a debate about whether it's forbidden to keep, if you already paid me back, is it forbidden for me to keep this piece of paper? Theoretically, one could say, well, I could use it, right? Paper was scarce in those days, or parchment, right? Normally they were written on parchment. If I throw it out, it's wasteful. I could use the parchment for something else, right? Not for writing anymore, but I could use it maybe to cover my pot, to use it for something. So because of that, he says there's a machloket. Is it forbidden? Now, why would it be forbidden, right? Rabbanan savri asur l'shot shtar parua. Because maybe we're concerned if I keep it, maybe I'll come back to you later and I'll say, hey, look, you owe me money. It doesn't say on the shtar anywhere that you paid. So generally, there was a thing, and we're going to see this, that people would generally write a receipt. So if you hold that you have to write a receipt every time you pay back your money, and then I have to give you a receipt that you paid me the money, then you're responsible to keep your receipt. So I could keep my shtar chov, my promissory note, because I could go then and claim. If I were to go to claim, you'll pull out your receipt and say, hey, look, I already paid. But if you don't hold that you necessarily have to write a receipt, then it's actually forbidden for me to keep this promissory note because we're worried that I might cheat and claim that you owe me the money, and you might not have any way to prove that you already paid it. So that's the machloket. Rabbanan say you can't use it, in which case they say, once it was already paid back, well, obviously this is useless. Rabbi Yehuda savar mutar l'shot shtar parua. You can actually leave this shtar parua. You can use it, in which case he's going to say, but you're not obligated if you go out with it on Shabbat because it's got no purpose. Okay, what are you using it for? If it has no purpose is kind of a good question. But anyway, we'll stop with this today. We'll pick up with Abaye tomorrow.